Welcome in, everybody. Please tap the screen and share out the live. Hi, Tiny. Hi, Robin. Hey, Rab.
Subject to you. C-O-N-S-E-N-T. 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 No praying. No praying. No touch, don't speak to me without my fucking C-O-N-S-E-N-T. Sometimes the world can be a cruel place, and everything feels too hard to face. Sometimes this life is just too much. Deadlines, bills, and a world out of touch. We all could use some good advice, some words of hope when the days ain't nice. A little laughter, a listening ear, words of praise and good cheer. Somewhere that feels familiar to say. Auntie's here. Come on in, sugar. Sit right down. Auntie's here, so lose that frown. He's gonna help you make it through with a cup of kindness and a word or two. Let it out, sugar, if you need to cry. She's got your favorite snack or a lullaby, caring eyes and a knowing smile. Come and stay with Auntie for a while.
Laugh until we start to cry. Talk about the reasons why. Something's cute and something's scar, but I'll always meet you right where you are. Grab a notebook, okay? And grab a pen. You're gonna want to take notes when I begin. There's plenty of space, and we're gonna learn something new every day. Leave your fears.
And let your eyes see both your ears. You'll make it all crystal clear. Auntie's here. Auntie's here. Auntie's here. Auntie's here. You won't wanna miss a single word she'll say. Your favorite auntie's
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, Silly Goose. Did I do it today? Silly Goose, did I get YouTube working today? I think I did it today. I think I fucking fixed everything. Please, somebody tell me I fixed YouTube today. Hello, Devil's Public Defender. Hello, everybody. If you're friendly and you want to come up and hang out, you know the guest box is open to you. Hello, XC Notes. Yes, Silly Goose, we conquered Satan together. You guys, everybody put a W in chat for Silly Goose. Silly Goose has helped me so much. Every time I have a problem, they always let me know on YouTube. And because of it, I have tweaked things, fixed things. I've worked so hard on this. I would already be monetized over on YouTube if I hadn't had so many problems. You guys, welcome in. Yesterday was Doug's birthday. I want to tell you guys, a lot of you have asked me, what can we do? We want to like gift Doug because, you know, it's so cool that he lets you just spend so much time with us. And obviously he doesn't let me in that sense. But you know what I mean? Like our spouses do give up time with us so we can be, you know, with each other and stuff. And I always appreciate that he is so supportive of everything I do. And the biggest way you guys can help is my daughter and her fiance live with us. We're helping them right now get back on their feet. We're helping her become a medical billing encoder so that they can get up, you know, on their feet. And the last part of it is helping her pay for her books. And if you helped Doug do that, that would be a great birthday gift for him. You could just go to the link in my bio. You'll see this logo, and then if you go to that logo, you can then help with the crowdfunding for that. So check that out if you want to help. Welcome in, Mama Bash. Good to see you this morning, Parker. Good to see you as well. Thank you for the heart me's. You guys, please get your heart me's, get your points. We do have a drop gift today when I do start the conversations. I'm not going to start with conversations. So I'd like to get 20 people in here. I've got an amazing encore extended edition Auntie Sermon for you this morning. We are going to talk about Cain's wife. I want to make sure that I have the whole thing though, because no, this is not it. Nope. Why don't I have it? I wonder if I close if I'll have it. Dang it. All right, I got it fixed. Okay, I have for you the extended edition of Cain's wife. Yeah, I for a minute thought, maybe I don't have for you the extended edition of Cain's wife. And then today I will be dropping a new episode of the podcast. It is Rebecca's mother. I think it's an amazing podcast for mothers and daughters to listen to. I think it's a great one for you to listen to together or to share with your mom or your daughter. And I will have a bonus episode out hopefully by tonight, but if not by tomorrow. And that is the extended edition of Eve. Okay, that's the extended one on Eve. You guys, thank you so much for all your support. I know it's a slow start for me. It's always slow for me. Oh, Randall, thank you. 200 minutes and a title gifter. Thank you so much. Oh, and 200 days too. Petty Fog, good to see you. Welcome in. It's always a slow start for me when I go live. So you guys have to do all the work, and I appreciate all the work you put in. I appreciate all the sharing, all the heart me's. That is such a pretty heart with the crystals on it. I love that. That is so cool. So welcome in, and if you are friendly, of course, please come up, hang out with me. We're going to talk about Cain's wife today. I'd like to get some more people in here. Go tell people that I'm doing Cain's wife today, an extended edition. Go, like, specifically say, hey, Crystal's doing an Auntie sermon right now, about to perform. Do you guys ever watch that Frank guy? I used to watch him because I found him fascinating, but after a while, it was just like, I don't know, he's kind of weird. But he was sitting there last night going, okay, everybody in chat, give me 100 roses right now. Come on, don't be cheap. And I thought, could you imagine? Like, I should just be like that. God, you guys, go give me 100 people in here right now. What's wrong with you? I should be Frank. But I'm not a very good Frank, is the problem. That's just not my personality. Not really my style. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Pride. Yeah, I guess I can when I have 1,000 years. One day when I grow up, Petty Fog. The funny thing is that some days I start with 10 and I end up with, 200 people in here. And other days I start with 10, I end up with 40. I never know what's going to happen. And that's okay because I'm here. Whether there's 2 people or whether there's 200 people, I'm here. I'm going to do what I do. I really think that my Auntie Sermons are important. I really do. I think that women have longed to hear their stories told in scriptures. Women have longed to have a voice, And so whether that's 2 people who want to sit or, 200, I'm gonna keep telling the stories. And I think that the more people who hear the stories about these women, the more women will realize that it's not hyperbolic to say that the God character in this Bible does not love women the same way that he loves men. It's not equal. It's not, there is definite favoritism, And I'll say it again too, that if we could get women to leave the church would fall apart because women are the backbones of all these churches. I have a new flash goal. You guys are going to put it up. I don't know what it is. Okay, it's 10 J's. The way a flash goal works is each one of you just sends me 1 J. They're 1 coin. If each one of you sent me 1 J in the next 15 minutes, it looks like that's pretty long time. Then it boosts me a little. So if y'all send me a J. Hey, Robin, what's up?
Hi, good morning, Crystal.
Good morning.
I am kind of in a horrible mood because I had a super shitty experience on TikTok earlier.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened?
Well, I don't mind talking about it. I don't know if you're familiar with Steph. She is a trans woman friend of mine who is in the decon community here. Her
Yeah.
and I'm a mod on somebody's panel named Tolto. And one of the panelists, whose name was Kermit, was making some very sexist remarks. So Steph corrected what they were saying, called them out for being sexist. He became transphobic. And after me and Steph had words with him, he dropped down, and then Tolto and this other person named K Mrs. Twin invited 4 transphobes up on the panel, and they began to savagely call us all the slurs and names you could possibly think of. And
Oh my
I was
God.
told I can't mute them, I can't moderate them, I can't diffuse the situation. So they just viciously harassed us until we both were like, fuck it, we're out of here.
That is horrible. What the
Yeah, I know.
hell?
Yeah, I know. So if you are followers of Tolto or K Mrs. Twin, They are transphobes. Be alert.
I don't think I know either of them, but I will definitely keep an eye out for that. I do not think I know
Yeah, it was a
either of
very
them.
shitty experience.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
You know,
I don't understand that.
I also messaged our mutual acquaintances who we're friends with so that they knew exactly who they're aligning themselves with. Just so you guys know, if you're an atheist or in the decon community, that does not mean that you are inherently a progressive or good person. There are transphobic atheists out there.
Look at the comments. I'm so sorry. Shay, no, I didn't make a new page. This is the only page I have. I have an alt account, but it's also an alter ego. So what the hell?
I want to do
Thank
that
you,
one day.
Lathe.
I want to make an alt account. And I think what I'm going to do is when my friends on here need ops, I'll come up and be a Christian. And of course, I can't do it with my real voice. I have to be a character. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
well,
yeah, I think
that's
it would
what
be fun.
my alt account is a character. She's named the Deaconess. She's Deaconess Crystal, and she was from when we used to do this kind of trolling thing with a creator on here that shall remain nameless because I don't like talking about him since he's not a good person. Anyway, the Deaconess was a character I created, and me and Joel used to go to church. Joel remained. Joel reads Bible, and I would play the Deaconess, and the two of us played church with a friend of ours, and people we had so many haters. Christians and atheists hated us. It was amazing. I'll just tell you that the Deaconess was a woman who really loved her Jesus and her sweet tea. And I was very good at it. And people were very upset with me. They do not like the Deaconess because she is so devoutly religious.
That's a funny persona. Oh my gosh. See, this is what my persona sounds like. Hello, my name is Sylvia Brown, and I just passed away. I think I might be in water, but I'm not quite sure.
I totally have a character like that too because we used to work with this woman named Diana. Her name was Diana and she smoked about 40 cigarettes a day, sometimes 3 at a time, I swear.
I smoke 2 bags of menthols a day, and I'm a hard ass.
I
Gotta
swear.
love it. I love doing this.
All right. You guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started with today's Auntie Sermon. Today we're going to talk about the woman God didn't bother to name, Cain's wife, the extended edition. So if you've already heard the podcast episode 2, this is an extended version of that sermon. Genesis 4:17. Cain knew his wife. She conceived and bore Enoch. Cain built a city and named the city after the name of his son Enoch. There you go. There she is. In case you missed her, that is the first appearance of Cain's wife in the entire Bible. No introduction, no description, no name. Just Cain knew his wife. And in biblical language, knew is doing a lot of work there. Cain had sex with her. Cain fucked her. She conceived, she gave birth. Yes, I know that sounded vulgar. That was intentional because this story is vulgar. It is deeply vulgar and unsettling that the first and only direct thing the Bible tells us about this woman is that her body was sexually available to Cain, a murderer, and capable of producing his children. That's vulgar to me. And I want us not to run away from that too quickly because Christianity has trained many of us to hear biblical language so often that we stop hearing what the words are actually saying. We already have the apologetics playing in our heads before we've even had time to think about it. This woman enters the biblical story already acted upon, not welcomed into the narrative, not introduced as someone's daughter, not described physically, not given thoughts, emotions, or fears. The text does not ask us to care about her inner life at all. Instead, she appears in the story as a function, a body, a womb, a way for Cain's lineage to continue. And what makes this even more fascinating is where she appears in the story. Because Eve has already been introduced. Eve gets a name. Eve gets dialogue. Eve gets motivation. Eve gets blame. Hell, Eve gets blamed for things she didn't even do. People have spent thousands of years talking about Eve, arguing about Eve, studying Eve, condemning Eve, defending Eve. But the very next woman we encounter in Scripture arrives without even the basic dignity of a name. She is simply Cain's wife. And I think that's worth paying attention to because names matter. Names tell us who belongs in a story. Names tell us who the author believes is worth remembering. Names tell us whose identity exists outside of their relationship to someone else. Cain is Cain. Abel is Abel. Adam is Adam. Eve is Eve. But this woman is introduced entirely through a man. Not as herself, not as a person, not as an individual, as someone's wife. And as we move through Scripture, we're going to see this happen again and again and again. Women become wives, women become daughters, women become mothers, women become concubines. Women become unnamed supporting characters in stories that could not exist without them. Now, to be fair, Genesis actually names more women than many of the books that come later. In Genesis, we get Sarah, Hagar, Milcah, Iscah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, Tamar, and others. Women whose names have survived thousands of years. But even here at the very beginning of the Bible, we are already seeing another pattern emerge. A woman can be absolutely essential to the story and still be treated as though her identity doesn't matter. Because make no mistake, this woman matters. Without her, there is no lineage for Cain. Without her, there is no Enoch. Without her, there is no city. Without her, there is no genealogy. Without her, there is no future for Cain at all. The entire continuation of Cain's story depends on her. And yet the text refuses to tell us who she is. Meanwhile, Cain, the first murderer in the Bible, gets an entire emotional arc. Cain gets dialogue with God. Cain gets anger, shame, fear. Cain gets divine protection. Cain gets a future. But the woman who has to live beside the marked murderer, she gets silent. And what makes this even more uncomfortable is the timing. This happens immediately after Cain murders Abel. I think that matters because the first thing the Bible tells us after God protects the first murderer is that the murderer gets a wife, sex, children, and a future. The woman attached to him gets no story at all. And yet everything that comes next depends on her. Cain builds a city. Who fills it? Cain has descendants. Who carried them? The genealogy continues through her body while the text refuses to tell us her name. And maybe that's why people have spent centuries trying to fill in the blanks, trying to name her, trying to explain her, trying to figure out who she was. Because there's something deeply human about looking at a woman this important and feeling that something is missing. The story remembers the murderer. The story remembers the son she gives birth to. The story remembers the city Cain builds. But the woman whose body makes all of it possible enters the story unnamed and leaves the same way. And unfortunately, she won't be the last woman in the Bible this happens to. every verse about Cain's wife. Now, normally this is the point where I would gather every verse in the Bible that mentions the woman we're talking about and start piecing together her story. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to work with here because there aren't multiple verses. There's only that one. The one verse that I already read for you at the beginning of the sermon, Genesis 4:17, that's it. Cain's wife appears. He sleeps with her. She conceives. She gives birth and essentially disappears, all in a single verse. Because that's all we get. I think it's worth slowing down and looking carefully at what the verse actually says, and maybe more importantly, what it doesn't. The verse begins, Cain knew his wife. Not Cain met his wife, not Cain married his wife. He knew his wife. The text introduces her as though we're already supposed to know she exists. She's already there, already married, already attached to Cain. No explanation provided, no backstory, no introduction given. The author seems completely unconcerned with answering the question that has fascinated readers for thousands of years. Who is she? Where did she come from? The text simply assumes her existence and moves on. Then we learn she conceived and bore Enoch. And once again, the focus immediately shifts away from her. Think about that. The woman performs every action necessary to bring a child into the world. She conceives, she carries a pregnancy, she gives birth, and yet the only person who receives a name in the verse is the child, Enoch, not her. The baby gets a name, the mother doesn't. And honestly, that's a pattern that is going to repeat throughout Scripture. Women bring people into existence. The people they produce get remembered, especially if they are boys. But the women often don't. Then the verse moves immediately back to Cain. Again, Cain built a city. Cain named the city. Cain created a future. Cain established a legacy. Everything in the verse keeps orbiting back toward Cain. The wife appears, the son appears, but the narrative, gravity, always pulls us back to Cain. And there's another detail here that I think is easy to miss. Cities are not built by one person. You can build a house by yourself, maybe a cabin, maybe shelter. But a city requires families, generations, mothers, children, entire communities. Yet when the text tells us about the origins of civilization, the spotlight remains fixed on the man, while the woman who literally makes future generations possible remains unnamed. And the strangest thing about all of this is that the verse creates more questions than answers. Did she know Abel? Did she grow up alongside him? Did she know Cain before the murder? Did she marry him before Abel died or afterward? What did she think about what happened? Did she fear him? Did she grieve Abel? Did she feel safe? The text never says, and before somebody rushes in to tell me that the Bible isn't trying to answer those questions, I know. That's exactly my point. The text isn't interested in those questions. The text is interested in Cain, his lineage, his son, his city, his future. The woman exists because the story needs her to exist. But the story shows almost no interest in who she actually is. And maybe that's why so many readers throughout history have tried to fill in the blanks. Because there is something profoundly unsatisfying about a woman being this important and this invisible at the same time. Without her, there is no Enoch. Without her, there is no genealogy. Without her, there is no city. Without her, Cain's future ends before it begins. She is absolutely essential to the story. And yet, when the verse is over, we know almost nothing about her except that she existed. For a woman this importance, that silence is deafening. Synopsis of her story. Now, the difficult thing about writing this sermon about Cain's wife is that her entire story can almost be summarized in a few sentences, not because she wasn't important, not because she didn't matter, but because she was a woman. The people who preserved this story didn't seem particularly interested in preserving her. As far as the biblical text is concerned, Cain's wife has sex, gives birth, and disappears. That's her entire story. At least that's her entire recorded story. But obviously, that can't have been her actual life. This woman lived an entire life that the text simply refuses to show us. She was born. She had parents. She probably had siblings. She probably had experiences and fears and hopes and opinions. She probably dreamed and laughed and cried. She probably had favorite people, favorite places, and favorite things. She had a real life. And it was possibly just as complicated as any other human life. And yet none of that survives in the text. What survives is her usefulness. She becomes the mother of Enoch, the woman through whom Cain's line continues. The woman whose body allows the first city in Scripture to be populated, and that's about all we're told. The text doesn't tell us how old she was. It doesn't tell us when she married Cain. It doesn't tell us if she loved him. It doesn't tell us if she feared him. It doesn't tell us whether she knew Abel well, whether she knew Adam and Eve, whether she mourned for Abel. It doesn't tell us whether she agreed with what Cain had done. It doesn't even tell us whether she had a choice. But I know some people get uncomfortable when we ask questions like this. But frankly, I don't know how you read a story like this and not ask questions. Because once you start paying attention to women in Scripture, all you're left with is questions. One of the things you notice very quickly is how often their humanity gets swallowed up by narrative. The men get stories. The women get functions. The men get dialogue. The women get roles. The men get complexity. The women get utility. And Cain's wife may be one of the clearest examples of that anywhere in Genesis. She exists at the exact intersection of two major biblical stories. The story of the first murderer and the story of the first city. Those are enormous moments in Scripture. The first murderer, the first city builder, and standing between those two moments is an unnamed woman whose body makes the future possible. Without her, Cain's story ends. Without her, his descendants don't exist. Without her, there is no genealogy to record. Without her, there is no city to populate. Without her, there is no future for Cain. Yet somehow she remains almost completely invisible. And let's be real. Maybe that's the most important thing about her story. Not what we know, but what we don't know, because her silence forces us to confront something uncomfortable. A woman can be absolutely essential to history and still be treated as though she doesn't deserve to be remembered at all. And if that sounds familiar, that's because history has been doing that to women for a very long time. Understanding Cain before we understand her. Before we can understand Cain's wife, I think we need to understand a little bit more about Cain. Because whether she loved him, feared him, hated him, pitied him, or simply survived him, her story is forever tied to his. And Cain is one of the most fascinating and troubling characters in all of Genesis. When I was a little girl, I hated the story of Cain and Abel. Not Cain's wife, not Eve, Cain and Abel. And honestly, I didn't hate it for the reasons most people probably expect. It wasn't because Cain murdered Abel. It wasn't because there was violence. It wasn't because somebody died. Instead, it was because the whole thing felt very unfair. Even as a child, I remember hearing the story and thinking, this is just bullshit. Why would God be like this? Cain brings an offering. Abel brings an offering. God likes one. God doesn't like the other. And nobody ever bothers to explain why. And when I was a little girl, that bothered me more than the murder because I wasn't hearing a story about sacrifices. I was hearing a story about rejection. I'd already been abandoned by my mother. I had already been rejected by the one person in your life who is supposed to love you no matter what. The one person who is supposed to stay. The one person who is supposed to choose you. And because of that, the question that haunted me wasn't why did Cain kill Abel? The question that haunted me was, what if Cain's offering was the best he had? What if he brought exactly what he was capable of bringing? What if he tried? Because if Cain could bring an offering to God and still be rejected, then what chance do the rest of us have? As a child, I remember hearing that story and thinking, what if my offering isn't good enough? What if I do my best and it still isn't enough? What if the God of the universe rejects me too? That's what I heard in this story. Not murder, not mythology, not theology, just rejection. And when you've already been rejected by the person who was supposed to love you unconditionally, that fear hits differently. It's debilitating. Because suddenly the story isn't just about Cain anymore. It's about every child who has ever wondered, what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? Now, as an adult, I understand that Christians have spent centuries trying to explain God's decision. Some say Abel brought the best portion. Some say Cain's heart wasn't right. Some say Cain lacked faith. Some say Abel's sacrifice was blood and Cain's wasn't. But the truth is the text itself never clearly explains God's reason. The rejection simply happens. And that matters to me. Because when you grow up around trauma, unexplained rejection can become psychologically devastating. You start searching yourself for defects. You start looking for whatever is wrong with you. You start believing there must be some flaw that makes people leave, that makes people reject you, that makes people choose someone else. And what makes this story even harder for me is that the God of the story already knows exactly what is about to happen. God knows the rage is coming. God knows the jealousy is coming. God knows Abel is going to die. God knows violence is about to enter the story, and still the rejection happens. The text says Cain became angry, his face fell. The warning signs were there. And if you grew up around violence, you learn to notice warning signs. You notice tension. You notice mood changes. You notice the shift in the room before the explosion comes. You learn to read danger before it arrives. Reading this story as an adult, I can't stop thinking about the fact that God saw the explosion coming before anyone else. And Abel still ends up dead. Because the next thing Cain does is invite his brother into a field. And there, away from everyone else, he murders him. The first human born in Scripture becomes the first murderer in Scripture. And I think Christians sometimes forget how shocking that should be. We've heard this story so many times that we've become numb to it. But imagine hearing it for the first time. Humanity has barely begun, and already one brother is killing another. That matters, because this is the man our unnamed woman becomes attached to. Not a hero, not a patriarch, not a king, the first murderer. And before we can even begin asking what it was like to be Cain's wife, we need to understand the man standing beside her, because the Bible tells us almost nothing about her, but it tells us quite a lot about him. Living beside the first murderer. So now, before we move on to the rabbinic teachings and the Christian teachings and all the attempts to explain where Cain's wife came from, I want to sit with a different question. A question that I almost never hear anyone ask. What was it like to be her? Not where did she come from? Not who her parents were, not how humanity multiplied. What was it like to be her? And before anybody accuses me of making things up, let me be very clear. I don't know. You don't know. The rabbis don't know. The church fathers don't know. The Bible doesn't tell us. But I think it's worth paying attention to the kinds of questions the text never bothers to ask. Because when we stop asking questions about women, it's very easy to stop seeing them as people. Think about it. This woman is attached to the first murderer in Scripture. That is not a small detail. That is the defining detail in Cain's story. If somebody told you today that a woman had married a man famous for killing his own brother, you would probably have questions. Was she safe? Did she trust him? Was she afraid of him? Did she think he had changed? Did she feel trapped? Did she even have a choice? Those are normal human questions, yet somehow when we get to Cain's wife, those questions disappear. Where is the curiosity? It seems there is none. Instead, the conversation becomes, where did she come from? Was she his sister? How many children did Adam and Eve have? And look, I understand why people ask those questions. They're trying to solve a logistical problem in this story. But I've always found it interesting that people spend so much time wondering about Cain's family tree and so little time wondering about the woman who had to live with him. Because from the little information we do have, this woman's life was tied to a man marked forever by violence, a man who murdered his own brother, a man who became angry enough to kill, a man who carried God's mark for the rest of his life, not as a warning, but as protection. And maybe Cain changed. Maybe he became a wonderful husband. Maybe he became gentle. Maybe he spent the rest of his life regretting what he had done. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody does. Text doesn't tell us. But the text also doesn't tell us the opposite, and that's exactly the problem. The Bible preserves Cain's emotions, Cain's fears, Cain's anger, Cain's future, but it shows almost no interest in preserving hers. And I think that's one of the reasons this story bothers me so much, because the silence itself becomes part of the story. Imagine being so invisible that thousands of years later, people still debate where you came from, but almost never ask what your life was like. Imagine being so erased that readers become more interested in your genetics than your humanity. Imagine being so necessary to the story and yet so absent from it. Because that's the reality of Cain's wife. The text remembers what Cain built. The text remembers who Cain killed. The text remembers the son Cain fathered, but it never pauses long enough to ask what it was like for the woman standing beside him, and that tells us something important. Sometimes the most revealing thing about a story isn't what it says. It's what it never thought was worth asking. Rabbinic teaching. Now, once people realized that the Bible never tells us where Cain's wife came from, Jewish rabbis and later traditions started trying to solve the problem. Because if Adam and Eve are the first humans, then who exactly did Cain marry? And for thousands of years, that question has bothered readers, not because the Bible seems bothered by it. The Bible clearly isn't. The Bible introduces Cain's wife as though her existence requires no explanation whatsoever. But later readers wanted answers, and so the rabbis began filling in the blanks. One of the most common explanations comes from Genesis itself. In Genesis 5:4, we are told that Adam had other sons and daughters. For many rabbis, that solved the problem. Cain married one of his sisters. Simple. Case closed. But rabbis rarely stop at the simplest answers, and that's where things started getting interesting. Some rabbinic traditions taught that Cain and Abel were each born with twin sisters. Others taught that one brother received one sister while the other received two. Still others suggested that the conflict between Cain and Abel wasn't about sacrifices, it was also about a woman. According to some traditions preserved in Genesis, Rabbah, and later rabbinic writings, Cain and Abel argued which brother would marry a particular sister. Think about that for a second. The first woman connected to this story doesn't become a person. She becomes a prize, a possession, something men fight over, something men claim, something men argue about, and it's their sister. And before anybody gets defenses, I'm not criticizing the rabbis for trying to answer difficult questions. I understand exactly what they are doing. The biblical text leaves huge gaps. Human beings naturally try to fill them. That's what stories do. That's what storytellers do. That's what all of us do. But I find it revealing which questions get answered and which questions don't. The rabbis ask, who was she? Where did she come from? Whose daughter was she? Whose sister was she? Who was supposed to marry her? But once again, almost nobody asks, what did she want? Did she have an opinion? Did she have a say? Did she want to marry Cain? Did she want to marry anybody? Did she have feelings about being treated as the solution to a theological math problem? Because that's often what happens to women in these discussions. The woman becomes an answer instead of a person. A piece of evidence, a plot device, a way to solve a puzzle in this story, a way to explain how humanity continued. And I think that's one of the reasons these traditions fascinate me. Because even when people notice that something is missing from the story, they often focus on solving the puzzle rather than the human problem. The human problem is that we know almost nothing about her. The puzzle is figuring out where she came from. And generation after generation seems far more interested in the puzzle. The rabbis were trying to make sense of a difficult story. I respect that. But even after all those discussions, all those debates, and all those centuries of interpretation, Cain still gets the spotlight, and Cain's wife remains standing quietly in the background, unnamed, unheard, and underdeveloped. Christian teachings. Now, if you think the rabbis spent a lot of time trying to solve the mystery of Cain's wife, Christians were not far behind. Just like the rabbis, most Christian writers were not primarily interested in what it was like to be her. They were interested in explaining how she got there. Where did she come from? Who was she? How did humanity continue? How did Cain find a wife if Adam and Eve were the first people? And just like many of the rabbis, most Christian thinkers arrived at essentially the same answer. She was probably Cain's sister, or at least a very close relative. One of the earliest and most influential Christian writers to discuss the issue was Augustine. Augustine argued that marriages between close relatives would have been necessary in the earliest generations of humanity. Not because he thought it was ideal, but because in his view, there simply weren't enough people for any other option. Other Christian writers made simple arguments. The population had to come from somewhere. The generations had to continue somehow. Cain had to find a wife. And so Christian discussions often became focused on questions like, was it incest? Why would God allow it then, but forbid it later? When did those rules change? How many children did Adam and Eve actually have? How large was the early human population? And look, I understand why people ask those questions. The story creates a puzzle. People want to solve it. But once again, I find myself noticing this same pattern. People spend enormous amounts of time trying to explain where Cain's wife came from while spending very little time asking what it meant to be her. The discussion becomes biological, genealogical, theological, mathematical, anything except personal, anything except human. And that's just frustrating. Because the deeper you go into these discussions, the easier it becomes to forget that we're talking about a woman at all. She starts becoming a theory, a solution, a necessary piece of the mechanism, a way to keep the story moving. And the irony is that Christian writers often gave Cain far more attention than they gave his wife. Cain's motives, Cain's sins, Cain's punishment, Cain's mark, Cain's descendants, Cain's future. Cain gets examined from every angle imaginable. His wife remains almost invisible. And there is something else I've noticed over the years. Whenever people start discussing the possibility that Cain married his sister, the disgust often seems to attach itself to her in a way that it doesn't attach itself to Cain. Think about how strange that is. Cain is the murderer. Cain is the one who killed his brother. Cain is the central figure in this story, and yet somehow people will talk about Cain's wife as though she is the embarrassing part, the shameful part, the disgusting part, the uncomfortable part, as though being someone's sister is somehow worse than being someone's murderer. I've heard people speak about women in these stories as though their value is diminished by who they married, who they slept with, or who they were related to. But the same judgment rarely seems to follow the men with equal force. And maybe that's because women have often carried the burden of sexual shame in ways men simply haven't. The woman becomes contaminated by the relationship. The man remains the protagonist of the story. Even here in one of the earliest stories in Scripture, I think we're seeing a pattern that will repeat itself again and again. The man commits the violence, the woman inherits the stigma. And that's because Cain is the theological problem. She isn't. She's just the woman standing next to the theological problem. And unfortunately, women have spent a very long time occupying exactly that position, standing beside the story, supporting the story, making the story possible, while someone else remains the focus of the story. The result is that centuries of Christian discussions leave us with detailed explanations about population growth, family relationships, and theological consistency, but they leave us with very little insight into the woman herself. And that's the pattern we're beginning to see over and over again. The closer people get to solving the problem, the further away they seem to get from the person. And Cain's wife becomes one more woman lost beneath the weight of everyone else's explanations. Extra biblical teachings. Eventually, the silence surrounding Cain's wife became so uncomfortable that some people simply decided to fill it. Not with explanations, but with names. Because once you spend enough time staring at this story, the absence becomes impossible to ignore. This woman is too important to the narrative to feel this invisible. And so later, writers began trying to restore some of what the biblical text never gave her. One of the most famous examples comes from the book of Jubilees. Jubilees is an ancient Jewish text that retells and expands many of the stories found in Genesis. And unlike Genesis, Jubilees actually gives Cain's wife a name, Awan. For the first time, the woman who spent an entire verse being called simply Cain's wife becomes something else, a person, at least a little bit. What's interesting is that the name Awan is often associated with meanings such as sorrow, grief, trouble, or iniquity. And I have to admit, I find that a little heartbreaking. The unnamed woman finally gets a name, and the name most commonly associated with her is sorrow. Whether that was intentional or not, I couldn't help noticing it. Other sources and later writings offer different names, different genealogies, different explanations. Some Islamic accounts preserve names such as Luluwa, and other variations connected to the earliest generations of humanity. Unlike Awan, the meaning of Luluwa is less certain and less widely agreed upon. The details vary, the stories change, the names change, but the impulse remains remarkably consistent. People wanted her to be more than an anonymous womb in somebody else's story. And I find that interesting because these writers lived in different places, different cultures, different centuries, different religious communities, and yet many of them arrived at the same conclusion: something is missing. The biblical text feels incomplete, and so people keep trying to solve the problem within the text, not because they know who she was, they don't. Not because they possess some secret historical knowledge, they do not, but because human beings tend to recognize erasure when they see it. We notice it. We feel it. It's palpable. We know when a story seems incomplete. And there is something deeply incomplete about a woman who helps populate the first city in Scripture remaining forever unnamed. But even here, I notice the same pattern we've been talking about throughout this sermon. Giving her a name is not the same thing as giving her a voice. Giving her a genealogy is not the same thing as giving her humanity. Most of these writings still spend far more time explaining where she came from than explaining who she was. The questions remain: who was her father? Who was her mother? Who was she related to? How did humanity continue? And while those questions are interesting, they are not the questions that haunt me. The questions that haunt me are much simpler. Was she happy? Was she afraid? Did she ever feel safe? Did she grieve Abel? Did she love Cain? Did she resent him? Did she spend her life living in the shadow of a man remembered primarily for murder? The truth is, we don't know, and we will never know. And I feel deeply connected to the generations after generations of people who looked at this unnamed woman and felt compelled to give her something the Bible never did: a name. Because even if they couldn't restore her story, they could at least acknowledge that she deserved to be more than Cain's wife. And that instinct says something hopeful about us, because every time someone tried to name her, they were quietly admitting that her disappearance never felt quite right. Civilization built on erasure. I think at this point, Cain's wife becomes bigger than just Cain's wife. Because the deeper I've gone into Genesis, the more I've realized she isn't an exception. She is a pattern. One of the things I've learned after spending months examining the women of Genesis is that women are often doing far more work than the story acknowledges. Not always. Genesis actually names more women than many of the books that come later. Sarah, Hagar, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, Tamar. Genesis names a surprising number of women compared to much of the rest of the Bible, and yet even here at the very beginning of Scripture, we can already see the pattern forming. Cain becomes remembered as a city builder, a founder, a man who establishes a future, but cities do not build themselves. Cities require people, families, children, generations. Somebody had to carry those generations. Somebody had to give birth to them. Somebody had to raise them. Somebody had to keep them alive long enough for civilization to exist at all. And yet the story remembers Cain, not the woman standing beside him. That's the pattern. The labor remains, the woman disappears. The contribution remains, the woman disappears. The civilization remains, and the woman disappears. And the more I study Scripture, the more I realize this pattern doesn't stay in Genesis. It spills into history, into culture, into religion, into art, into families, and into civilizations. History is filled with women whose work held families together while someone else received the recognition. Women who raised children, women who managed households, women who cared for aging parents, women who held communities together emotionally, women who supported ministries, movements, and businesses. Women who carried enormous responsibilities while somebody else stood at the front and got remembered. And before somebody accuses me of saying men never worked hard, that's not what I'm saying. Of course they did. What I'm saying is that women often worked just as hard while leaving behind far fewer footprints in the historical record. Their work became invisible, not because it wasn't valuable, but because it became expected. And once something becomes expected, people stop noticing it. People stop naming it. People stop thanking it. People stop recording it. It simply becomes part of the background. And I think that's what bothers me so much about Cain's wife. Not just that she's unnamed, not just that she's silent, but that she's absolutely necessary. Without her, there is no genealogy. Without her, there is no city. Without her, there's no future for Cain. Without her, the story stops, and yet she is treated as though she is incidental, as though she could be swapped out with any other woman and nothing would change. But that's not true. The story depends on her. Civilization depends on her. Cain's legacy depends on her. And still she disappears, because Cain's wife is not just one forgotten woman buried in Genesis. She is one of the earliest examples of a pattern that women have been living with for thousands of years, doing the work, making the future possible, and then fading away into obscurity. What came from her? While writing this sermon, it quickly became evident to me that the Bible seems to remember almost nothing about Cain's wife, while remembering quite a lot about what came from her. Through her son Enoch and the generations that followed, an entire lineage unfolds. The text remembers the descendants. The text remembers the accomplishments. The text remembers the cities they built, the skills they developed, and the ways they shaped the world around them. But it barely remembers the woman from whom all of it came. As the genealogy unfolds, we do see violence continuing through her descendants and Cain's. We see that through Lamech. Lamech is a man who boasts about killing someone. Genesis 4:23 through 24 records him saying, I have slain a man for wounding me, a young man for bruising me. If Cain will be avenged 70 times, truly Lamech 77 times. Think about how different that sounds from Cain. Cain kills and fears punishment. Lamech kills and boasts. Cain kills and fears retribution. Lamech turns violence into a speech, almost a song. The violence that entered the story with Cain doesn't simply disappear, it continues. But that's not all that continues, because from the same family line come people associated with some of the earliest developments of human civilization. Jabal becomes associated with herding livestock. Jubal becomes associated with music, and Tubal-Cain becomes associated with metalworking and tools. Cities emerge, trades emerge, skills emerge, art emerges, culture emerges. The story remembers builders, craftsmen, inventors, musicians, people who helped shape the world around them, and every single one of them exists because of a woman whose name the text never bothered to preserve. That's what keeps pulling at me. The Bible remembers what came from her. It remembers who came from her. It remembers the men who came from her. It remembers their accomplishments, their inventions, their violence, their cities, their culture. But it forgets the woman standing at the beginning of all of it. When people talk about Cain's line, I can't help but think about hers, because these are all her descendants too. These are her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. They are her legacy. And just like so many women throughout history, the things she helped create survived long after her name disappeared. In a strange way, that may be the most tragic part of her story. The text preserves the fruit of her life, but not so much as a name for the woman herself. See me. And so now I want to go back to Cain's wife. And when I come back to Cain's wife, I notice that I don't find any answers here. I don't find the things I was looking for. Instead, what I find is a warning. Because in Genesis, we begin with Eve. Eve gets a name, Eve gets dialogue, Eve gets motivation, Eve gets blame. People spent thousands of years arguing about Eve, defending Eve, attacking Eve, explaining Eve, remembering Eve, even using her name for their daughters and granddaughters. But the very next woman we encounter in Scripture is unnamed, Cain's wife. And if I didn't know anything else about the Bible, I might assume she was an exception. I might assume this was a one-time oversight. I might assume the women who came after her would be treated differently. But that's not what happens. More women are going to be unnamed. More women are going to be reduced to their relationship to a man. More women are going to be used as props, holding up stories that are really about somebody else. More women are going to disappear into the background while the men around them receive names, stories, motivations, and legacies. Cain's wife is setting a precedent. She's a red flag planted near the beginning of Scripture. She's standing on the page, waving her arms and shouting, "See me?" Ask the questions. What was it like to be married to the first murderer? What was it like when God marked my husband for protection? Because that mark worked both ways. Yes, it protected him, but it was also a warning to everyone else. It told them exactly who he was. And if you don't think people judged me because of him, then you probably don't understand how guilt by association works. You probably don't understand how community works, how gossip works, how marriages work. For all intents and purposes, I was marked too. See me. Ask me what it was like to raise Enoch. Ask me what it was like to watch the world grow from a handful of people into something so much larger. Ask me what it was like to stand at the beginning of human civilization and still not be considered important enough to have my name remembered. Ask me what it was like to watch my descendants build cities, create music, forge tools, and shape the world while I slowly disappeared into their story. Because those are the questions nobody asks. Those are the questions the text never asks. Those are the questions generations of readers never ask. And if nobody asks them, I will disappear. Not because I wasn't there, not because I wasn't important, not because I didn't matter, but because nobody thought I was worth remembering. See me. Because if I can disappear, so can you. Cain's wife appears in a single verse. One verse. No name, no dialogue, no description, no thoughts, no feelings, no story of her own. And yet from that single verse comes an entire civilization, cities, generations, music, metalworking, culture, families, and a future. The Bible preserves what came from her while barely acknowledging that she was there at all. But she matters. Not because we know her story. We don't. Not because we know her name. We don't. Not because later writers successfully filled in all the blanks. They didn't. She matters because she teaches us how to read the stories of these women. She teaches us how to notice who is missing and what is missing. She teaches us to notice whose voice disappears and whose voice never appears. She teaches us to notice whose labor makes a story possible while somebody else receives the credit. Most people reading the story in Genesis focus on Cain, the murderer, the marked man, the city builder, the father of a great lineage. While sitting quietly beside him is a woman whose body carried the future, a woman whose descendants shaped the world that followed her, a woman who helped build everything the story remembers while becoming almost entirely forgotten by the story itself. And once I noticed her, how could I unnotice her? Cain's wife is not the last woman in Scripture to disappear. She is the first unnamed woman. She is the first woman that God doesn't bother to name. And I say God because as Christians, we believed that every word in the book was God-breathed. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And God does not bother to name her. She stands near the beginning of the Bible as a reminder that sometimes the most important people in a story are the ones standing just outside the spotlight. But she wants us to see her, not just as something to theologically debate for centuries, not just to ask where Cain found her. Where did she come from? No, she wants us to see her as a full individual human being with complex thoughts and feelings. She wants us to ask the questions. She wants us to refuse to let her and the other women disappear. Cain's wife wants us to stop asking, where did she come from, and start asking, who was she? Because somewhere in this ancient text, if we dig hard enough, if we search long enough, it becomes clear to us the first unnamed woman in the Bible who was married to a violent, murderous man, rose above everything that was handed to her. Through her, civilization was built. And when we start seeing these women as full human beings, women who paved the way, women who change society. We can start finding the power that is within each one of us. Will you let them erase you too? Will you let them erase your daughters and your granddaughters? Because if we let them erase Cain's wife who sits at the beginning of the story, what hope do any of us have to leave a legacy? Awan. Sorrow. One of the only names ever given to her is apropos when we realize that the sorrow itself is the erasure. And that's today's Auntie Sermon.
Wow. Claps, everybody, claps. That was awesome. That was so powerful. I have so much to say. But I want to give Nick a chance before I jump in, because I have a lot to say. Nick, hello?
Did you have anything to
also
say?
good morning.
All right. Good morning, Nick. And by the way, if you're in chat and you want to come up, you can come up too, and if you have something to say. Thank you. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I was just saying sorry, I was sneezing.
Oh.
What's really odd to me is when the rabbis start talking about this stuff and they're trying to make sense of it, why were they not taking into consideration Genesis 1? Why did it have to automatically be they were banging their sisters? They were fighting over one sister. Why were they not taking Genesis 1 into consideration where it says...
Right, like... And I don't know that none of them did, because, like, obviously when I'm doing my research, I do not read every midrash. You know what I mean? Like, I have time constraints on my research. So maybe some of them went to one, but we know that many of them went to the sister, because also Christianity did after that. And that's a very common theme. It's a very common theme.
I wonder if that's where their minds went because of Abraham.
Ooh, that could be, and Isaac, right? And I don't remember who else. They all like their sisters, right? Hey, Durango.
Hey, Crystal. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I am so much better after listening to that. I hate that I missed the beginning of it. Are you going to have this on? Is this like going to be on YouTube or something somewhere where I can?
I have a podcast, and so you check out Auntie Sermons. I'm on episode 13 right now on there, recorded and uploaded. So today I will be uploading Rebecca's Mother is the episode. And so it will eventually be up on there. But this video of me saying it today will be uploaded to YouTube. I mean, like, as soon as I get done, it should be uploaded.
Okay. Is that critically Crystal as well?
It's I am CrystalJae, all one word, and it's CrystalJae.
I am CrystalJae. Okay, I'll be looking at that, because I would love for my wife to hear that. I think she would very much appreciate it, and I very much appreciated it. It's been a long, hard, hot day working in the sun, and hearing you just so eloquently talk about the misfortune of women throughout all of known history. I think that was very beautiful and so eloquently said. And do you do this like once a week or something like that?
On Mondays and Tuesday, on Mondays and Wednesday, I perform an Auntie Sermon. And like I said, it is a podcast now. And then on Thursdays, we discuss a lot of the topics from the Auntie Sermons. We also, when I get done here, we talk with Christians too for a little while. So I'm on for a few hours after I do the Auntie Sermon. But Mondays and Wednesdays, I perform them. And then Thursdays, we discuss them.
Okay.
Well, and on Spotify, the podcast is Auntie Sermons.
Okay.
AUNTIE. I'm your Auntie CrystalJae, and
I am CrystalJae at YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
I was listening to CDJ, and he was talking to somebody, and they were like asking a bunch of stuff about kind of like, where do people who are non-Christian and all that kind of stuff get their morals from? And he pointed towards you, and I was just like, you know what, I'm kind of CBJ'd out right now. So let me go just check out what's going on with Critically Crystal. And I popped in here and we were in the middle of that, and I'm so happy that I heard it. It's beautiful. And I love you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I really appreciate it. And I love hearing everybody's opinions when you do. If you go listen to the podcast, it's anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's called Auntie Sermons. And you'll notice that there is an episode up of Kane's wife, but it was much shorter back then when I first started doing the podcast. So this was the extended version. I beefed it up a little bit for today. But if you guys would, like Grandma Xana did it for me yesterday. It gives me the biggest dopamine hit when you guys go and comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you drop me, just a note or a comment on YouTube or whatever. I cannot tell you. I long for seeing you guys leave reviews and comments. It makes me so happy. I really appreciate it. Robin, what did you want to share about it?
Wow, I have so much to say. So, firstly, it's been a long time since I've read the Ethiopian Orthodox canon that has the apocryphal text like Jubilee that mentions Cain's wife's name being Ewan. We'll be looking into that. Very interesting. I do think it's very telling that her name means sorrow. Because I could imagine, being that there were so few people in the world in this mythology, that she would have been the talk of the town, and she would have been horribly mistreated. She's a victim that is totally forgotten about, because everywhere she goes, she is in a marriage with a known murderer and someone who's been cursed. So she, by association, is going to have everybody look down and judge her, which is awful. We don't think about, if Cain was willing to unalive his brother, who knows what sort of abuse she endured? Who's to say that any of the children she ever had was even consensual? It makes you really wonder.
We know that they have another violent descendant, Lamech, okay? That comes from their line, right? So the violence doesn't end with Cain. It continues in his line. So I think he was violent still with her. And that's why his son ended up, or not his son necessarily, but his grandson or whatever Lamech is, ends up violent too, right? So you're right.
Absolutely.
We don't know.
I also think that Cain was set up. I was in a live earlier today talking about free will, and they tried to talk about Adam and Eve and the choice. And I like to remind people, it says in the Bible that Jesus was slain before the foundations of the earth. Yes. They were destined to eat that fruit. And you know what else was destined? God cursing the ground. And guess who gives offerings from the earth? He's out in the fields working all day, busting his ass, trying to make these grain offerings for God. And then what does God do? Turn his nose up at it and then give favor to Abel. Yeah, you know what?
Absolutely.
I would be pretty pissed off too. And these are some of the first people God created. I genuinely don't think that, part of me wants to give plausible deniability that Cain knew that he could unalive his brother, because nobody had ever been unalived before. So how would they know? You know what I mean? That's a fair question. But I do think that God set up Cain. And I feel very bad for Ewan, because from now on, she's not Cain's wife to me anymore. She's Ewan. I want to give her that identity. I think that the Quran calling her Luluwa, that is interesting to me, because Ewan and Luluwa, they seem to have a similar etymology. So it tells me that there was some sort of oral tradition going on here that was intentionally omitted when the Torah was canonized. So they must have known more details about Ewan, about Luluwa, but they intentionally omitted it. I find that fascinating.
That's a
I should also
possibility. That is
mention,
definitely a possibility.
um, and this is taking it slightly off topic, but there is a Talmudic text that talks about how when Eve, before Eve was created, Adonai, the biblical Old Testament God, he actually made a myriad of all of these different women to give to Adam, but all of them he rejected. He didn't like any of them. And it was only until God said, I've had enough of this, knocks them out, and then performs magic surgery, making the rib woman Eve, making a woman in his image, that he's like, okay, this is a woman I can get with. So the reason why I bring this up is because it is possible that Cain's wife could have been one of these many different women that God created that Adam turned his nose up at. But yeah, that's mostly my thoughts.
I'm fixing to drop down, but I just want to let you know I'm subscribed on YouTube now. Following you in Spotify. And a little off topic here as well. I put this in the chat a minute ago. Something that I found interesting about Tubal Cain. Tubal Cain, it says in the KJV that he worked bronze, and bronze wasn't a thing for like another 1,000, 2,000 years. Like it was like he would have worked.
Yeah,
copper,
that's true. Yeah.
So that's like one of those inconsistencies that we find in the Bible about that. If it was God's breathed and preserved word, that wouldn't have been, there. It wouldn't have been
true. That is true. That's another anachronism, huh?
Yeah, it is an anachronism in the Bible that it says that he worked later interpretations. They changed it to copper, but in the one that's been influencing the world for 500-600 years now, it was called bronze.
That's really true. That is very interesting. And thank you so much for coming in. By the way, if you haven't checked out my music is everywhere too. It's CrystalJae. I don't sing. I don't perform the music, but I wrote the lyrics. And the songs are all about deconstruction. And there's some really good music. So go check that out as well. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Kimberly, welcome up. What did you want to say today?
Hello there, Miss Beautiful Person.
Hello.
And other beautiful people in the chat and panel. I was just going to ask you, I just went and subscribed on YouTube, and I was wondering, because I missed today's sermon, and when is it going to be posted, or is it posted over there? I don't know how YouTube works.
Well, why did my screen change? Hang on, let me fix my YouTube, because I don't know when it did that. But, nope, not what I want. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, YouTube. I didn't know that got switched. It's all better now. Well, the picture might look like shit, but because I just noticed it was fucked up, and I don't know how long it's been fucked up. But the actual YouTube video will be posted as soon as I'm done being live. It automatically gets uploaded over there when I'm done streaming.
Great, because I love these sermons about these women in the Bible. I mean, they just make my heart happy that somebody's actually recognizing them, even though they don't know and the Bible probably isn't true. They deserve their recognition.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I want people to remember that even though I now realize that most of these women were not real women, they represent real women. These things happen to real women. Real women were treated like this, and real women are still treated horribly today because of the stories about these women. On Spotify, for my music, it's just CrystalJae, CrystalJae. But for my podcast, it's called Auntie Sermons, AUNTIESERMONS. And I think that it's I Am CrystalJae over on Spotify. I don't know. Just look for Auntie Sermons. I might be critically Christian. I don't know what I am. I don't know. When I first started, it was just CrystalJae, okay? And then somebody took CrystalJae on one of the social medias that I wanted to use, like Twitter or some shit. I don't know. And Rebel, thank you for 400 minutes. I appreciate you. And so I started going by I am Crystal everywhere because I'm like, fuck you. I am CrystalJae. You're not fucking CrystalJae. I am. God damn it.
I actually like critically in front of it. Like, I think that's better than I am.
Well, so then eventually I rebranded myself a little while ago and switched to critically CrystalJae. So, but the show's called Auntie Sermons, AUNTIE. It's a podcast. You can listen to it everywhere you listen to podcasts or everywhere you used to listen to sermons. And right now we're up to Rebecca's Mother, episode 13. I think that gets uploaded today, and there'll be a bonus episode loaded today or tomorrow. It's the extended edition of Eve. So if you've already heard episode 1, this will be an extended edition, just like you heard today about Owan, Cain's wife.
And if you haven't listened to them, please. Oh, it's okay, babe. If you haven't listened to them, like I haven't heard some of them, even if you listen to them again, they're absolutely worth it. Like, that's, I just felt like that needed to be said. I mean, I could probably listen to them 3 or 4 times, to be honest.
I have before.
Yes.
You know, I was going to say, Crystal, something I forgot to mention that I really feel like should be mentioned is, let's not forget, in this time in the Bible, people were living for hundreds of years. That means that Cain's wife, one of the first people ever created, lived to be hundreds of years old. She's the mother of humankind. And yet you didn't record her name? You had she lived for hundreds of years, would have been a pivotal, essential person for the foundation of humankind, and yet her name was not recorded. Very disturbing, very strange.
It's very disturbing. And as we've talked in later episodes, you and I have talked, Robin, when the midwife isn't named and they spend, centuries discussing the red thread and not even the woman in the room. What the fuck are you talking about? The red thread became more important. In the story of Rebecca's mother, they talk more about the absence of the father than the mother who is fucking standing right there actually in the story doing all the work. You spent centuries talking about a man who wasn't there instead of the woman who was. What are you doing?
We need to peg the patriarch, the patriarchy. We need to peg them.
And the way Grindr crashes every time there's a man meetup, they already like that. I mean, let's not give them what they want.
Okay, yeah, I stand corrected. Valid point there. Valid point.
I like to remind Christians that heaven is a sausage fest.
I had that as my intro for a while on my podcast. I'm like, do you ever notice how the Bible is just a sausage fest? I actually, but I changed my intro this week. I'm trying to be a little less vulgar on my intro. But it's true. The Bible is a sausage fest.
There's actually this funny apocryphal text.
Go ahead, Robin.
I was going to say, there's actually this funny apocryphal text that talks about Mary Magdalene is around this group of disciples, and all of the disciples are jealous of her because Jesus favors her more than the other disciples. And they say, well, she's unfit for the kingdom of God. She's unfit because she's a woman. So what does Jesus do? Jesus says, no, she's my disciple, and she's better than all of you. Watch, and I'm about to reward her. And then turns Mary Magdalene into a man so that she can go to heaven because she couldn't before.
Nick, isn't there a whole apocryphal text that says you have to become a man before you can go into heaven, like all women will?
It's in the Gnostic text, the Gospel of Thomas, right at the end. The men were bitching about Mary being in the room with them and listening because they're like, only men go to heaven, so I don't know why she's here. And Jesus like, oh, well, no, because I'm going to turn her into a man. And
okay, that's what Robin was saying.
Yeah, and then it starts talking about how all women in the faith will become men in heaven, and it's like, what?
I didn't know that was all together. Okay, that's crazy.
Fest. And it also
did you know that like Thomas? I'm sorry. Did you know that Thomas
Aquinas heaven through? Damn the lag.
Wait. Let me tell it really quick. What did you know that Thomas Aquinas, the one that everybody loved, Thomas Aquinas, he thought that women were just deformed men?
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Even though women are literally the factory setting for all of humanity, and it's not until later on that men become deformed. Yeah.
Okay, as the first letter in the alphabet mafia, I'm going to go commit all the sins and then not repent because I don't want to go to a place where there are all men. No offense, men. No offense. I love men. I just don't want to see them naked, and I don't want to spend eternity with them. But yeah, I'm going to go out and do all the things.
I encourage you to.
I might even kick a puppy. I don't know.
Oh God, stop.
I always say punch a penguin. I'm going to go punch a penguin.
I love you, Crystal.
But I was going to remind people that the Bible says that women, their ticket to salvation relies on them having Christian children. And if they don't get into heaven. And to add to that, the God of the Bible is the person that determines whether or not you can have children. You can't help it if you're barren. It's fucked up. It's still predestination.
Absolutely. Laith said, I'm imagining the penguin bouncing back up. Like, I am too, actually. I could never punch an actual penguin. I like penguins.
I'm imagining you punching the supervillain penguin.
Yeah, okay, I could do that.
I could do that. The God of the Old Testament sitting here watching Christians argue about who is saved and who isn't, who's going to heaven and hell and who isn't, and him just sitting there going, I didn't even create an afterlife. I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. You guys are all going to the grave. Like, I could just imagine him sitting there like, I didn't say any of that. The hell are you on?
I like it when Christians will bring up the verse where Jesus is going to say, I never knew you. Pumpkin. He's talking to Christians when he says that. He's talking about you. He's going to say that to you. We already know we're not getting into heaven. He's telling Christians, you think that you are going to come up and say, you know me, and I'm going to say, I don't know you. He's not talking to the ones who already...
Let me remind them, you can't be a lukewarm Christian either, baby. You have to be on fire for the Lord. You got to give up all those worldly possessions.
Right.
You can't be cold. You can't be lukewarm. You have to be on fire for Jesus. So start selling all your shit. Start tithing. Start taking care of orphans and widows. Because if you don't, you're going to be in the eternal fish fry with us vessels of destruction.
I feel like the only ones that are going to actually go to heaven are those vile people from West Borough Baptist Church, because I mean they're actually doing Christianity right if you think about it. I mean they're just hating on everybody like the Bible tells you to do, and they don't value women. So yeah, I don't want to be up there with a bunch of those folks.
I really like
which is weird because Shirley Phelps Roper is their leader. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, their leader is a woman now ever since their male leader passed away, which is weird because the Bible explicitly says that women should not be teaching, women should not have authority positions, and yep, their cult leader is a woman.
You make a valid point.
Probably
Also
because she
weird.
pushes the patriarchal narrative.
But if you allow a woman to lead, the next thing she's going to do is wear pants. And after that, she might become a lesbian. I don't know. I don't think they should be doing that.
Is that why I'm gay? Because I started talking
Yes.
and wearing pants.
Yes.
Well, now I know. Okay, then. Okay.
My mom took Tylenol while she was pregnant with me, and look how I ended up. I'm a transgendered. I'm just joking.
Yep.
My mom took Tylenol PM, so I'm only transgender at night.
I caused my daughter to become non-binary because I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show with her when she was a teenager, and I told her that Frankenfurter was going to make her question her sexuality. And
I mean, Frankenfurter made all of us question, if we're going to be honest.
that's all.
Like, hello.
That's what I was trying to explain. I was like, I just want you to know it's okay. Like, it's gonna happen. It happens to the best of us. I just, I mean, that's just true. It's you can't. What?
Okay, so now we know how lesbians are made and non-binary people are made. Let's keep it going.
Tim Curry, as Frankenfurter. I'm sorry.
I love Tim Curry. That is arguably his best role ever, truly.
It really is. Although I do love Muppet Treasure Island.
I liked him a lot in Home Alone 2.
It's true.
But every time I watch Home Alone 2 now as an adult, I'm reminded that the Orange Menace is in that movie.
Yeah, I don't watch that because of that. I do like him, though, also in Clue. I love him in Clue. And yes, that is why Rocky Horror Picture Show will make you question everything about your sexuality and aliens and stuff.
I love the Clue movie. Thank you for saying that. The Clue movie doesn't get enough representation. Love the Clue movie.
It really doesn't. The Clue movie is amazing.
I really loved him as Nexus. I know it's a cartoon, but damn. Ferngully. He played the bad guy in it. And there's a video of him behind the scenes singing his major song. Whoa, it makes me question things. It really does.
Was Tim Curry the dad in The Wild Thornberrys? I'm pretty sure
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's another thing he was in. I like that cartoon. That was good. That's a childhood throwback.
Yes, he was, Nigel. He had so many great roles. I don't think he ever had a bad one.
I don't think so either. I will always love Tim Curry.
He definitely did not deserve the roll of the dice he ended up getting.
Oh my gosh, you know what I forgot about? And it's so on topic to this live. I forget the name of the movie, but he played the devil.
Yeah. Oh, my brain just quit working. What?
I'm forgetting what the name of the movie is, but he was red, he had the horns, he was super buff. I'd have to leave the app to look it up. But he played the devil in a movie.
I got IMDb.
He was good.
All
right, Nick, if you want to teacup and come back, or I can, either way.
Somebody says, was that the last unicorn? Was it the last unicorn?
No.
But there was a unicorn in the movie. It's okay. I'll TCOM. I'll go look it up.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
Legend.
Hang on.
Legend. It was Legend.
Yeah, it's
fuck's sakes.
Legends.
Why did that totally just skip my brain? Damn.
He was Lord of Darkness in Legend.
He is.
But that was a really good movie. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time. But that was one of his better ones, too. Well, if you are a Christian, a believer in the God of the Bible, or deconstructing, please request that.
Hey,
God's
Crystal.
not that into you, by the way, just so you guys know, he's not, okay? What's up, Kimberly?
I was wondering, are you and Justin in talks about like doing a collab? Like he had questionable Calvin on. He had Godless Engineer on.
He's invited me on. The reason I haven't gone on a show with Justin yet is because I haven't got my computer upgraded yet. And when I start collabing with larger creators, I want to make sure that my equipment is up to par. Right now, I still shoot from my phone. That's why people are helping me. And thank you for this moment that I can tell everybody. If you gift me, all that money is going to help me update my computer. Whenever you do a drop gift, if you head over to my link, you'll see this logo right here, that logo right above Kimberly. And there's many ways you can support the show. There's information right there on how to support the show if you want to send a tip or whatever. All of that is helping me upgrade my computer. We're getting really close. I think we're at like 66% of the way there or whatever. Computers are expensive right now and I just don't have the funds. But you guys supporting my podcast, supporting my live shows, sending me gifts, all of that is making it so I can write more sermons and I can write more music and I can be here 3 days a week to spend time with you guys.
What kind of computer are you trying to get?
It's a desktop PC. But it's very specific specs because it's built in order for me to stream here, Twitch, YouTube, horizontal, vertical. There's so much that you have to have a lot of power in your computer to be able to do streams, appropriately,
Sure.
to be able to have all the shit up. That's why I can't see, like, when people Venmo me or when people do so, I can't see any of it because I can only see this screen in front of me. I can see what's going on in OBS, but if I change anything on my computer, it ruins YouTube for everybody who's trying to watch over on YouTube. So I can't do anything on my computer when I'm live. I have my iPad so that I can look things up, but I can't see other screens. So I will have a computer with multiple screens soon. And then I'll be able to collab with larger creators.
So you have a link to Venmo in your bio?
It's right there. It's in my bio. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will, I'll donate a little bit and spread the word. Because I would love to see you and other big creators get together. I mean, it would be epic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So,
and I also love it when a man and a woman collab, like Justin and Sarah. I think they are a good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Justin and Thinker are really good.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think you and Justin are going to be amazing. Like, amazing.
Thank you. I probably will be hanging out on his live sometimes between now and my birthday. You guys, I'm having a big birthday bash Monday, June 29th. I will be 60 years old. I'll be live all day long on my birthday, and I will be having some of the creators stop by. I am trying to reach 10,000 followers here on TikTok by my birthday, June 29th. And we're not at 8,000 yet, so we've got some work to do. If you're not following me here and you're listening right now, please hit that follow button. Follow me right here. Help me reach my goal of 10,000 followers by June 29th. And Justin, Jaron, and others have been so gracious as to let me come up and hang out with them to help me get my follower count up. So I hung out with Jaron this week. That was a lot of fun, actually. We had a really good time. We talked about Ezekiel shitbread. It was so funny because I told Jaron I want to come up and hang out with you, but I'm not really going to talk because I don't really have anything to input to the discussion. You've got it fucking handled. Like, I don't know the shit you know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who the fuck Tacitus is. And I mean, like, I know who they are, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know them like he does, right? I don't know Tacitus, Josephus, Pliny, all those fuckers, right? So I'm like, I'll just hang out. I'm trying to get followers. He's like, yeah, no problem. But in between, guests, we would banter a little bit. And so I don't remember, we were talking about the bad, I said, like, if somebody you knew was going to be stranded on a desert island, would you give them a Bible as a survival guide? Because to me, it's a really shitty book. It doesn't teach you anything. That you don't learn any life lessons from this book. So I would give somebody a Girl Scout manual before I would give them the Bible if I knew they were going to be like stranded on a desert island. And we were talking about all the bad advice that the Bible gives and why it wouldn't be a good survival guide. And I said, yeah, like, Ezekiel bread, cooking your bread over a human shit, And this guy came up and started arguing with us right away. And it became like, what everybody was talking about. And I'm like, you guys, I wasn't trying to actually do debates on Ezekiel bread. But it does exist. And you guys don't read your Bible. It's clear if you think that Ezekiel, he didn't end up cooking it over human shit. He used animal shit. But God asked him to at first. He did want him to. It's a true story. Sorry, it's your Bible. Read it. Read it sometime.
I have a hot take. Just thinking about everything that was being said. I'd really like to see all the major women creators get together and do a big thing, a big collab. We have a lot of great major content creators, such as Justin and so on. But I feel like there has been too much of focus around the men in the community that we need to really start projecting and showing the women of the community working together, kind of without the men for a while. Women in the community need that spotlight, especially now more than ever with everything that's going on stateside. And it's great to hang out with the male creators in the community, but I would really like to see that push with all the women in the community, spotlighting each other and doing the major collabs rather than the man-woman thing.
I agree. And so for the rest of the year, I've talked to Nick about this already, and I've talked to some of the people that I will be collabing with. But I will be bringing back Decon Q&A with CrystalJae. I will be having an episode of it this month. We haven't nailed down the date yet. But my first guest will be Robot Goat, because I want to start featuring non-binary people, women, and trans people in the community. And so that's going to be who I collab with between now and 2027 the most. I want to feature the people of the community who just are under represented, if you will. So my first will be Robot Goat. I'm really excited, and I will let you guys know when we're going to do Decon Q&A with CrystalJae. The shows are going to be only 2 hours now. We're going to shorten them down a little bit because y'all are chickens, and you just don't come up and ask the question. You're supposed to get up here in the box and come up and talk to these creators, but y'all get scared and you start saying all your things in the comments instead of getting up here. So we're going to shorten them down a little bit to 2 hours. We're still going to play Divine or Decline. We'll still do the icebreaker questions, but I hope that you guys will check those out. They'll be on special dates and times, working around the schedules of the creators that come on the show with me. So maybe I can get Born Again Atheist to do another one with me now that her and I know each other better too. When we did ours last year, it was like almost a year ago, actually. We didn't really even know each other yet. And now I just love her and I know so much more about her. So maybe I could get her to do another one with me.
Born Again Atheist
even
is
though
just an icon. I mean,
I
she
know.
is just she's a
Yeah,
badass.
I do love Boma.
her.
I was actually going to say, even though Justin Deconstruction does not need me to blow smoke up his ass, he is a really great ally, and I am very thankful that we have him in our community because he loves to collaborate with other people and give people opportunities. That's something I could really appreciate.
He does. And I just, he also, whether you guys know it or not, he donates a lot of his time and his actual finances to helping people in the community. He has always helped a lot of people. I love Sarah too. Sarah is amazing as well. And you know, Jereb doesn't go live, but I fucking love Jereb too. So what? He's my friend and we hang out and chat all the time together. I don't know why, but I just saw him in chat and I thought I'd let him know I love Jereb too.
If you are a Christian, deconstructing, or a believer in the God of the Bible, we'd love to talk to you about how God's just not that into you.
If you don't know who Boma is Born Again Atheist. She's called Boma because, well, we like to make fun of Mogs. And there was a Mog who came up one time and for whatever reason thought her name was Boma. Because I guess the BORNA looked like BOMA to the Mog or something. And it just stuck. And now that's what we call Born Again Atheist. We call her Boma.
I don't know if you guys know who Bulma, the character from Dragon Ball Z, is, the chick with the teal bowl cut, but that's what I think of when I hear Boma.
Oh.
The names Boma and Bulma are so similar.
That's funny. She is a rock star. She's in the chat, Elle. She's probably busy doing things, but she has been in the chat, and so you should be able to follow her. If you scroll up, you'll see her talking. Okay, listen, I'm going to mute. You guys do a commercial for me. I'm going to go use the ladies' room and get a drink, and hopefully for this last hour, we'll get somebody in here to talk to us. Oh, awesome. Don't forget, if you volunteer for me in any capacity, I'm doing a giveaway for something 3D printed. This is something I 3D printed. This is my little dragon I 3D printed. All you have to do is check in whenever I go live, or whenever you do work for me, check in on my Discord. There's a place to check in for people who volunteer. And at the end of each month, I'm going to draw one lucky name from all the people who check in. And you will get something 3D printed from me. So it's just a little gift to say thank you for all you guys do. One of the things I really need help with, and if you are able to do this, I need somebody who can make clips for me. I'm so bad at it. I have a list of really good clips right now. I need a clip of Mama Bash translating for a woman who spoke in tongues on my show. I need a clip of Darth Dawkins telling me he's going to leave the show. And I go, yeah, I know, because I kicked him. Of course you're leaving. like I don't want to talk to you anymore. What the fuck? I need a clip done, like a long clip made of when Katie and Emmy fucking schooled the fuck out of No Degree with Nick. Just like it was so. Oh my god, it's just the best fucking clip. But I am really bad about making clips. So if you're good at making clips, you should let me know so I can get some help from you, because I do a lot, okay? I write all of these myself, and then I have to record them, and then I have to edit them, and I write my music, and I perform everything, and I don't know, I also play Animal Crossing a lot, and that distracts me. So I'll be right back. You guys do a commercial.
All right, everybody, let's get to double tapping that screen, sharing it out to at least 5 friends or more into your Discords. If you have no friends and no Discords, that's okay, because you can hit that repost button, as well as you can hit the copy link button at least 5 times, and that does help boost the algorithm. When you hit that repost button, anybody who you are friends with or mutuals with, will pop up on their FYPs and hopefully bring in more people. We are sitting at 53.5K. We got 19 beautiful souls in. We should be able to hit 65K, no problem, if everybody gets to double tap on that screen. And we are sitting at 138 shares. I would like to see that at least 150. If you haven't checked out the link tree in Crystal's bio yet, you should go check it out. This will give you links to different features like YouTube channel, Spotify, and also Crystal does have a wonderful Discord. So if you love the Auntie Sermons, if you love the knowledge that's passed through her lives, make sure you join the Discord to join the conversation. But in the meantime, the best way to support the host is by double tapping and sharing out that screen. A host does also have some gift goals. Gifting is not necessary, however, it is going towards her new computer setup, so these lives can be even better than they already are. It's hard to comprehend that they could get any better, but they definitely can. So let's get to double tapping, sharing, and if you have some spare coin, throw them to your Witcher.
And as a reminder, oh, okay, you can say your name.
Oh no, I was gonna just start throwing random things about the Discord. Go ahead.
Okay, if you would like to search for Crystal on YouTube, you can search I am CrystalJae. Please like and subscribe. If you search for critically CrystalJae, I believe on Spotify, you can find her Auntie Sermons. You can also find her music, of which I do listen to. My favorite song that Crystal has come out with is Who Saw It? It's a story about Hagar. Highly recommend it. Yeah, and if you are a Christian, a believer in the God of the Bible, deconstructing, you are more than welcome to come up, and we would love to discuss how God's just not that into you.
Especially women. He doesn't want you. What are they looking for on Apple Music?
I didn't say Apple Music, I said Spotify. Get it right.
But what is it? What are they looking for?
I don't know.
Your anti-sermons, maybe?
Yeah, it's on Apple Podcasts too. It's on Apple Podcasts too. It's everywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you listen to it on Podbean, it's there. Flick your bean. Flick your bean for your ear. Auntie. I don't even know what that means. What am I saying? You guys, I'll play a song for you right now while we're waiting. What's today? Is today Wednesday? I'm going to play my favorite version of Hump Day Dump Day. If you're a fan of Joel, you'll know that Wednesday is Hump Day Dump Day. So this is my favorite fucking version of Hump Day Dump Day, okay? Joel like a long time ago, started doing like Dump the Bible, and then Wednesdays became a day he went live and he would do Hump Day, Dump Day, and this is a song I wrote for the show.
Hey, I'm talking to you. Come here, big boy. I've got some news. Is that special day of the week? It's for the thirsty, not the meek. Hump day, dump day, diddly diddly dump day. Hump day, diddly diddly dump. Who needs the book? You just toss it out.
Okay.
Joel came to cook, believers best watch out. I say, hump day, did I stutter? Hump day, smooth like butter, diddly diddly dump day. Shh, listen up. It's hump day, dump day, diddly diddly dump day. Tossing out the Bible like it's trash from Sunday. Genesis to Revelation, yeah, I'm done playing dumb. Hey, memorizing verses, that's a vapid skill, babe. Flipping through Leviticus, it's smelling like a sunset. Call it liberation, I'm about to make the jump. Hey, hump day, dump day, diddly diddly dump day. Hump day, I got the hump. Diddly diddly dump day.
I'm not positive that Joel's going live tonight, but him or Mezzo usually do on Wednesday night. So I suggest that you check in to see, what's going on with them. But meanwhile, let's just play a couple of little fun songs, maybe get a little energy going. We've got just about another 45 minutes before we close up shop here, unless we meet our gift goal. Remember, whenever we meet our gift goal, I stay an extra hour for you guys. But right now, there's just no conversations. Keep doing those hashtags. Let's get some Christians in here, and let's have some conversations that God's just not that into you. But until then, let's play two of my favorite songs, Cuntified and Block Me.
Hey ladies, what's on the menu tonight? I want to dismantle the patriarchy, and I'm feeling cuntified. Line up the shots, spark up a blunt. Every lady here is serving cunt. Not an ounce of testosterone inside. Got full confidence in my stride. No consent for the noise you make. No consideration left to take. You had the mic for centuries. Now watch us cunts practice mutiny. We're serving cunt. It's the damn dress code. Serving cunt. It's our man. Serving cunt, boom, being cuntified. Men all pause while we take the mic. We're serving cunt. It's the damn dress code. Serving cunt. It's our manifesto. Serving cunt, boom, being cuntified. Men all pause while we take the mic. No heads bowed, all eyes up front. Every lady here is serving cunt. We playing ooh, no, reverse and flipping the script. Taking back control like an icon. Bitch, no consent for the noise you bring. No consideration for fragile kings. You had the power, had everything. Now mama says it's time to cut the string. We're serving cunt. It's the damn dress code. We're serving cunt. It's our manifesto. We're serving cunt. Boom, being cuntified. Men all pause while we take the mic. We're serving cunt. It's the damn dress code. We're serving cunt. It's our manifesto. We're serving cunt. Boom, being cuntified. Men all pause while we take the mic. Confidence high, no safety net. You look confused, you won't forget. We won't tolerate your disrespect. You're about to concede, little man, bet. You talk loud, but you're saying less. We speak once with confidence. Now step aside and let a cunt speak. Your contractors know you reached your peak. Lights still on, we ain't done yet. Let the silence sit, yeah, you felt that hit. This ain't rage, this ain't regret. This is cuntification at its best. We serving cunt. It's the damn dress code. We serving cunt. It's our manifesto. We serving cunt. Boom, being cuntified. Men all pause while we take
I wrote this song for Girls Gone Godless. If you don't listen to that podcast, you should. I've been on that podcast.
No pause while we take the mic. We're serving cunt. We're serving cunt. We're serving cunt. Overlapping Buddha. blockity block, 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 bitch. I ain't gonna stop, so go ahead and block. Yeah. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. Hit the block. You know you should. Did I make you mad? Did I piss you off? Don't like the way I mock and scoff. You mock a pro-ice, anti-LGBT, Nazi adjacent, transphobe energy, misogyny baked in your theology, supremacy culture wrapped up as morality. Cause you don't wait, don't debate. Hit that block now, bitch. Don't hesitate. Don't stall, don't fake. I didn't come to play. Ain't got time to fuck with you today. Motherfucker, if you won't engage, if you won't look twice at the words I say, then hit that block, do it clean, do it quick, no comments, no sermons, no last minute tricks. You think I need your God to be whole and pure? I'm atheist, feminist, solid and sure. I ain't into the grift, it's all a facade, it's a patriarchal system, so does God. Block me, bitch, don't hesitate, I see you flinch. Block me, now, ain't no sweat off my brow. Hit that block, don't stick around. Block me now. Block me now. Yeah. Pro-ice, pro-Trump, red hat on display. Same playbook as the KKK. You cheer for K, just call it law. Where the fuck is the line drawn? If you rather fund wars than feed the kids, if you voted for a 34-time convicted felon, if you couldn't vote for a woman to save your life, hit block now, bitch. Exit right. Oh fuck, I said a naughty word. I see you strangling on your pearls. This song's vulgar, yeah, so is hate, so is power hoarder behind church and state. Supremacy ain't culture, it's rock silence ain't peace, it's art. You capitalism feeds bombs, not bread, and you call that values? Nah, block me instead. Block me, bitch. Don't hesitate, I see you flinch. Block me, now. Ain't no sweat off my brow. Hit that block, don't stick. Block me now. Block me now. You gon' better ahead and block me now. I'm not shrinking. I'm loud as fuck. I'm still here, bitch. So now what? This ain't politics, this is belief. If my morals hit nerves, find your relief. No essays, no prize, no back and forth. Hit block. Hope your abs is the door. I'm below. Block me, bitch. Don't hesitate. I see you flinch. Block me now. Ain't no sweat off my fucking brow.
I wrote that because of Mama Bash. You guys inspire me, okay? You inspire me to write beautiful songs like Cuntified and Block Me. You inspire me.
Okay, are we doing song requests?
We can. I don't care. I'm just hanging out until for another half hour. So whatever you want to do.
Will you play Who Saw It?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh.
Men didn't have the nerve to name you, not with truth, not with blood on their hands. They spoke around you, over you, safe behind their power and plans. They praised what you did for them. They trembled as you gave your name. They wouldn't dare think to name you. No, that would be my claim to fame. I didn't bow when you found me alone. No one else to hear what I'd say. You didn't offer a name for me to whisper, so I named you from my view of you that day. You didn't offer me a covenant, no altar, no future, no claim. What I had was a body for trading, and the courage to give you a name. The God who sees, nothing can hide from you. The generations passed along from voice to ear. I called you the God who sees, but it's not how it appears. Like a game of telephone, it traveled every telling, changed the view. Each preaching made it softer, each repeat a little more askew. You saw it, you saw it. Far from my home, isolated, afraid, a body alone in a borrowed land. You saw me doing what I had to do, trying to obey their every command. You saw the cruelty, saw it plain, saw it hand me over like a toy. You saw what was taken again and again. You saw my body and heart destroyed. I ran when escape came into view. Believe distance might set me free, but you found me there in the wilderness and sent me back to what you could see. I named you the God who sees. They heard it as something kind. They said you saw my heart, said it was part of your design. It was never meant to compliment. I named you the God who sees. It was always an indictment. You see it all and do nothing. You see the children, you see their pain, their hunger, their bruises, their abuse. You see the men who harm them while claiming they worship you. You see global wars, you see the suffering. You see it all from your throne and do nothing. You saw it, 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 you saw it. I didn't name you by accident. I didn't kneel, I didn't plead. I gave you a name that fit. I named you the God who sees. You saw it, 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 you are the God who sees. You saw it, you saw it, you saw it.
You know, when I'm writing these songs, there's always these weird, funny things that happen with these songs. When I wrote Ex Parte, I wrote a great deal of that song before I was even sure if I was using the terminology for ex parte in a way that would actually make sense. And I did, but luckily, but I had really written a great deal of the song before I even checked into whether that would really work there in terminology. When I wrote Abelina Ballerina, I wrote that to be more of a 70s ballad similar to Alan John's Tiny Dancer. But after listening to the music with that, you know, kind of a music style genre, I was like, no. Oh, bye, Nick. Come back if you can. Don't know what's going on. But anyway, and then I realized, no, that needs to be bluegrass, right? And then I switched to bluegrass, and I liked it, but I thought everybody else would hate it because I thought nobody's going to like bluegrass, and everybody loves that song. And then when I wrote this song, when I wrote A Seat at the Table, that was supposed to be one song. But I had written so many lyrics for it that I had to break it down into 3 songs because the software couldn't handle that large of a lyric, if you will. And then on this song, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Have you heard the Still Drivers?
No, huh?
Oh my gosh! If you like bluegrass, then these are your guys. They split up, but you should check them out sometime. The Still Drivers.
I will. I used to really like listening to like Emmylou Harris, and I used to like to listen to the Gaither. I'm very eclectic with music. That's why my songs are not all the same, because I like gospel. I like jazz. I like rock. I like, so I like rap. I like all kinds of music. And so that's why my songs all sound so different. But when I was writing, I was going to say something about that, but I forgot what I was going to say. I feel like she does something in the song that I was going to correct, but then I left it in. I can't remember now. But anyway, I never know where the songs are going to take me. They never take me where I intended them to be. Consent was probably one of my most consistent songs. I wanted a song very much like Respect because I feel that consent goes hand in hand with respect.
Absolutely.
Hey, the creative. Camper, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How is everyone?
Wonderful.
I had a rough morning.
Oh no.
Yeah, I talked about it at the beginning of the live, but I don't have to hash it out again.
I've had a day where my body's just not wanting to cooperate these days. I've been in flare up for a few days. So yeah, rough. I can relate to that. My body is not cooperative these days. The bluegrass kind of caught my ear. My grandparents lived in Kentucky, and so I'd go to Kentucky every summer and listen to bluegrass in the park. So I was gonna say bluegrass that draws me in, even though I live out here in Switzerland, and yeah, that calls to me.
Yeah, I mean, the song is called Abolina Ballerina, and with a name like that, it just sounds like bluegrass to begin with, right? But also, bluegrass is very much a storytelling style, and so it just fit to. But what I really like about Abolina Ballerina is while it tells a story that is sad, that many women have dealt with, many boys have dealt with similar situations, whatever. But the whole song never is slow or sad. The song always remains very upbeat and hopeful. And in the end, everything can change around because love can still be sacred even after what they take. And so actually, since we keep talking about it, I'm going to go ahead and play it for you guys. This is Abolina Ballerina.
We need to hear it now.
Yeah, let's listen to Abolina Ballerina.
Abolina Ballerina, spinning in her tutu. All the world's a stage, lacing up her ballet shoes. Abolina Ballerina, they applaud as you dance. You're so precious, little angel. Dance away if you can. Abolina Ballerina, wooden floor counting time. In the mirror she's a swan, arabesque in the pink tights. Abolina Ballerina, sitting still in a pew. Preacher says that light you feel doesn't really come from you. They tell her every step is borrowed, her plie heaven sent. And for every bow she's taking, she's got something to repent. Abolina Ballerina, stand still, don't twirl, it's your fault that they're not holy, so be a good little girl. Abolina Ballerina, preacher says, let us pray. Closes the door so no one hears, calls it a special game. He says this is guidance, says she's holy, full of grace. Claims God needs her silence, blessed are those that obey. Abolina Ballerina, the light has left her eyes. She no longer hears the music, and her steps are out of time. Abolina Ballerina, remember how you twirl, who's to blame if they're not holy? You're still just a little girl. Abolina all twirl, it's your fault if they're not holy. So be a good little girl. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, those aren't butterflies you feel. Life grows heavy inside you, child. There's no way to conceal. They say her name like a warning. Obedience her only crime. While he preaches purity, taking them for every dime. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, learns what judgment costs. Learns who gets forgiven and who pays the loss. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, learns to mother through the ache. Learns that love can still be sacred even after what they take. She devours her education and her eyes begin to shine. Music pours out from within her and her steps fall back in time. She reads the words they cherry-picked, preaches truth they try to hide. She interrogates the God, she uncovers every lie. She shows why nothing ever changes, who the system benefits. Men of God who feed on power, abuse, shame, and the grift. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, show me how you twirl, spinning in the sunlight, dancing with your little girl. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, dance and center stage again. Hey, ballerina, ballerina, dancing barefoot in the sun. You're so precious, little angel, and your dance has just begun.
That is Ebelina Ballerina.
That was lovely.
That song is so beautiful and so sad. But it also has such a positive ending, too.
Yeah, I like the positive ending because I think it's important.
Can I have a request? I think you'll really
Sure.
enjoy this one. It's by the Still Drivers, and it's called Sticks That Made Thunder.
Oh, I don't have any way to play somebody else's music, and I can't play somebody else's music over on YouTube, so I'd have to shut down my YouTube because of
Oh,
copyright.
okay.
I can only play my music. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I do have another song I'll play for you guys. This song, since we've got nobody to talk to right now, and by the way, I'm staying live an extra hour. Thank you, Creative Camper, for helping me reach my gift goal. I thank you, everybody else who gifted today and who shared 63,000 likes. Thank you so much. I had a favorite song. I had a lot of favorite Christian songs, right? And after I left Christianity, I was like, what do I do with this now? Like, I really, really like these, these songs and this music and stuff, but I can't listen to them the same way anymore. I don't enjoy them the same way anymore. You know what I mean? So, wait, I'm sorry. I just had everything ready, and it just switched my whole thing on me. Let me try to find it again. How do I search on these darn apps? There we go. Let's find
While
it.
you're looking for that, Crystal, I thought I would share this funny thing with everybody. As somebody that was in church. Oh, the song started. Never mind.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was an accident.
I was gonna say there's plenty of songs that will often play in our heads. We'll think back to them because we heard them so often. And for whatever reason, one of the songs that I often hear in my head is "There was power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb." Oh my God, I do not want that in my head. But sometimes I'll be in the shower or I'll just be trying to go to sleep, and then that song will be in my head, and I'll be like, "What the fuck? This is one of the worst things this religion ever did."
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so I had this song that I really liked. I thought a lot more people would know it. Maybe it was very regional or something, but we used to sing a song that was known by us as For Those Tears I Died, but it was actually called, or we called it Come to the Water, but it's called For Those Tears I Died. But it went, and Jesus said, come to the water, stand by my side. I know you are thirsty, you won't be denied. I felt every teardrop when in darkness you cried, and I strove to remind you that for those tears I died. And I love that song. I had a lot of trauma as a child, and I wanted to know that all the tears I cried weren't for nothing, you know, that there was a God somewhere waiting there to dry my tears. And this song said, come to the water and he would dry my tears. When my sister died when I was 12 years old, she was hit by a drunk driver. I asked them to play this at her funeral, and so they did. They played this at her funeral. And then when I stopped believing, I realized I lost this song. He didn't dry my tears. As a matter of fact, he didn't do shit because he wasn't real. He was never there all that time. I thought that I was going to go to the water and he was going to dry my tears, and that was just wild. And so I decided to write a song. This song, if you take the lyrics, you could actually sing it to the original melody, but I changed the melody for my song, and this is called Water's Edge. It's a response to the song For Those Tears I Died, also known as Come to the Water.
You said, come, child, lay down your sorrows. You said you would be there through all my tomorrows. So I came believing you'd dry all my tears, but you left me waiting alone with my fears. When will you draw near? In the flood of your lies, they said your love was too deep to measure, that losing myself would make me your treasure. I gave up my voice, my identity and name, and called it devotion. But it was just at the water's edge.
That song is so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I do really like that. That it is one of my favorite songs. And now I feel like I get my song back.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way of thinking about it. That song really is beautiful and empowering. And it's one of the songs that I listen to sometimes when I'm, sometimes I'll go over to Spotify and I have guilty pleasure songs of yours that I'll listen to over and over and over again.
I love that. Well, I'm going to do this. Creative Camper helped me reach my gift goal today, but we don't have anybody up here talking today. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow because I'm not doing an Auntie Sermon. Tomorrow we're doing conversations all day. And that way I'll just stay tomorrow an extra hour. Hopefully we'll get some good conversations going. You know what? I had a really, really good topic. So sometimes my best topics come to mind when I'm listening to other people's conversations. Somebody will ask a question or allude to a question. I'll think, that would make a great prompt. And I really was like, this will be so good. There's so much we could talk about. And it's so good to make Christians want to come up or whatever. And I thought I wrote it down somewhere and I can't find it anywhere and I'm really sad. But if I find that, I'll make a new prompt for us. And I always am listening for new prompts. But because we're still here for just a little bit longer, I'm going to play you a little bit more of my music. I'm going to play my song Ex Parte. It's the title of my album, my Deconstruction album. I started writing a Deconstruction album because I heard Thinker's album. And she's so fucking inspiring. Like, she's so inspiring. And I used to write lyrics back in the day for some musicians. And they always kind of dismiss. I was very young. I was young. I was like a teenager, 17 years old, 16, 17. And they dismissed me as just a young girl who wrote poetry. So eventually I just put away the pen and I just didn't write because somebody told me that I couldn't write. So I believed that stupid fucking lie. And we do it so much in our life, right? So I just want you to know that people told me I couldn't write, that I couldn't write lyrics. And so I didn't write until I heard Thinker. And then I was like, I want to write again. I have things to say. And the first song I actually wrote was No Kings, No Gods, because everybody was going out protesting and I wanted to protest and I couldn't that weekend. But I thought I could write a protest anthem. And so I wrote that song. And if you haven't heard that song, I had realized at one point that Amalek, the father of the Amalekites, if you will, was the son or grandson of Esau. He's the bloodline of Esau. And the moment I realized that, the moment it dawned on me that the Amalekites were hated because of Esau, not because of what they did when they came out of Egypt. They were already hated because Jacob I loved, Esau I hated. And in the Bible, we know that that hatred never stops at the first generation. It always goes on. They cannot, we hear Christians come up here all the time. Do you know what the Canaanites were doing? They were eating their babies. So you had to go kill all their babies? That doesn't make sense. Your stories don't make sense. And so the same thing happens with the Amalekites. It is the bloodline itself that is hated because of Esau. Okay? And the people who are in Palestine today are the Amalekites. They're Amalek. They're Esau. They're Edomites. That is why they want them out. These ancient fucking stories are costing people lives. They are G-side in our world today, right now. It's happening right now. So I wrote No Kings, No Gods. I'm not going to play it right this minute for you. I don't know why I did the big build-up for it, but it was the first song I wrote, and it is about how that hatred runs through us still to this day, and we need to stop worshiping kings and gods, okay? But after I wrote that song, I learned another very fascinating fact, and that was, I knew this fact, but it didn't connect to me how important this fact was. Women were not at the covenant at Mount Sinai. But not just that women weren't there, women were told to stay away. Men were told not to even touch us. So if women weren't at the covenant, then how are we fucking beholden to these covenant laws? How am I at all responsible for anything that came after that? I didn't even get a chance to sign on the dotted line. And I'll be damned if I let some man decide for me whether I agree to the covenant. He doesn't get to decide for me. And then the more I thought about the only two people in that garden before Eve was there was Adam and Yahweh. And I think they conspired to blame everything on Eve after they realized how much Yahweh had fucked everything up. And so I wrote this song, Ex Parte, and it is the title song for my album. And so here is my song, Ex Parte.
To the party, I've got something to say, and I want every gentleman here to have a front row seat for this ex-party. Ex-party for the ladies. One side talks, one side stays mute. You carved your covenant in marble, but forgot the feet that swept the pews. We bore the sons that filled these seas, and you signed the pact without the wind of the leaves. From the garden's first spring, the blame had a woman's name. Two men sat in the shade of a tree, Adam and Yahweh writing history. They needed a scapegoat, they signed the brief. From that moment on, sin's name was Eve. Leave two men alone, it's always the same. If they can't find a woman, they'll make one to blame. This is my ex-parte, my one-woman plea. You created the try to frame me, you call it divine, but the terms were deceived. I stand unbound with chains at my feet. Oh, at Sinai speak, no woman was hurt. Shekinah silenced, her fate secured. Let the judge and jury see. The law came by what we didn't concede. The contract is noble as divine. May the record show no woman signed. We never needed a savior or lamb, because the truth is sin's name is man. Sin's name is man. Oh, in the land of Egypt we lit the flame. Our mother's prayers, our songs unashamed. We worship the heavens, the stars, the seas. We knew the truth before their decrees. At Sinai the man left us behind, abandoning women, blind leading the blind. We bore the children, we kept the fire. They stood on our backs as they climbed higher. Once our rituals were pure, hands in the earth, spirit sure. With natural rays, they gave us no choice. But no God, no man can silence her voice. May it please the court to hear my battle cry. We denounced the God, we denounced the lies. The pens were theirs, the scrolls they made. It is man's guilt and man that needs saved. Rise up now, behold the power. It's time they bow. Sinai was never ours to share. Without the glory, there's no guilt to bear. Every woman today stands free. If sin is own, man holds the deed. The contract is null as defined. May the record show no woman signed. We never needed a savior, because the truth is sin's name is his name.
Could you imagine being married to me? Doug has to hear me write shit like that.
I wonder if he has any of the songs memorized at this point.
I don't think he does, but maybe consent. Maybe.
I do love your music, though, Crystal. One of the things I love about your music is, especially with songs like that, it is churchy, but I can appreciate it because it's not church music. You know what I mean?
Right. I call it secular
that's a guilty
praise.
pleasure.
I have coined the phrase secular praise because I miss praise music, and I don't think that just because you're religious, you get to own that word. Because praise is not just about praising a god or a deity. It's about feeling praise for what you've done, feeling praise for what people you've loved done in the community, feeling praise for how fucking cool our universe is and how amazing it is without a creator. Like, we don't need a god to feel praise, I don't think.
Dare I say, guilty of the sin of pride. Well, we have a whole month dedicated to it. No, I'm just joking around. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Happy Pride.
But I do love that song. I don't think there's any song that you have that I don't like. Although Cuntified and You Saw It are my two faves. Tied, like them for different reasons, though. So, everybody listening, feel free to check out Crystal on Apple Music and on Spotify. She also has a Jax, a Grinder, a Scruff, a BGC, a Plenty of Fish, a Christian Mingle, and a FarmersOnly.com.
You don't have to be lonely at FarmersOnly.com.
City folks just don't get it.
You guys, I'm going to end it today, but I will stay live an extra hour. Thank you to the Creative Camper because they helped me reach the gift goal, and I'll stay an extra hour tomorrow for conversations. But today we'll end the show with Miss Me Without Misogyny. This one was a fun one to write for me. I liked the little cool slang saying of miss me with that. I think that's really, I like slang. And I really hate it when people go, you're too old to be saying that. You know what I say to people like you? 6'7". That's what I say. That's what I fucking say to people like you. Okay, you're never too old for slang. Okay, just learn how to use it correctly, or you sound stupid. Okay, so I liked when people said "miss me," and I thought, you know what, miss me without misogyny, and then I wanted to do some wordplay with that, and that's how this song came about. And it was one of my first experiences with using the app Suno, so I was learning a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it might not be the best song I ever wrote, but it's fun. I like it. It's upbeat, it's fun, and you can dance to it. I don't know. Here you go.
Miss me, now you gotta kiss me. You interrupt my sentence, call it just a thought. Say you love strong women till you get caught. You want a queen who keeps it light and sweet. But bow down, little man, and kiss my feet. Yeah, you're misinformed, misguided, mistaken. And that charm, boy, I know you're faking. Man, with that misogyny, you ain't the man you think you be. Messing me with that hypocrisy. Your fragile ego and royalty. I'm misbehaving and just being me. Miss me with that misogyny. You quote some podcast, call it intellect. But all I see is you begging for respect. You rate our bodies, dismiss our brains, then cry not all men again. Miss me with your sigh, miss me with your sweetheart. Boy, bye, bye, bye. Miss me with that misogyny. Don't need your fake apology. Miss me, can't you see? I'm a star. You're just an extra, baby. Miss me with that misogyny. Misogyny.
All right, you guys, I'm going to go. Listen, you have a homework assignment. There's only 11 of you left. Go raid somebody, say CrystalJae raid, and go share one of my Auntie Sermons with somebody that you love, okay? I love